For this video, I want to try something different, something new. I want to see what happens if I sit down and compose for 10 minutes and kind of talk through the process and see if maybe from seeing someone else's process, you guys can learn something cool. So I'm going to use different methods of composing each time I sit down to do these 10-minute composing exercises. And today I'm going to use standard notation as my method, but maybe next time I'll use using a digital audio workstation to record or writing with my guitar, something like that. But today it's going to be just standard notation. So I'm using a program called Finale for music notation. There are lots of different notation programs, so you don't have to use Finale, blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'm going to pick a instrumentation here kind of haphazardly because I'm very short on time. And I'm also going to give myself a limitation. So I'm going to have a violin and a piano. And I'm going to limit myself saying I'm going to only write using half notes for this exercise. So that's kind of different. I don't think I've ever done that before, and I've never integrated banjo into a composition. So I'm going to have banjo, piano, violin. We are going to start the clock now, or wait, we should start the clock in a minute. So it's going to be 10-minute fun time will be the name of this, and we'll use so many exclamation points that no one wants to read the title or listen to it. Okay, so I'm going to put it in C. We're going to do this quick. All right, starting now, 2:24. So I'm going to stop at 2:34. So first thing I like to do is erase all this stupid stuff just because it just kind of distracts me. All right, now I did that. I'm going to start putting down notes and responding to them. Sometimes you'll have an idea in your head already, and sometimes you won't. And remember, I'm only using half notes for my rhythm. That's these guys. And I'm going pretty haphazardly here because I only have 10 minutes to write, and I want to see if I can come up with something interesting. So right now, since I'm talking, I'm not really listening to what I'm doing very closely, but sometimes it's good to compose with this sort of liberal experimental beginning because nothing can be as intimidating at times as a blank slate, blank canvas. When you have nothing to work with, it can be challenging. Now, things get a little easier once you have something to work with, but then they become even harder once you have a lot of really specific details, but we'll get into that in a second, probably. All right, so here I've laid down some harmony here. Now, I'm going to only use half notes for this exercise, but I can use any type of rest. So I'm going to start with a quarter note rest to create a little bit of space before the banjo enters, and I'm going to have this banjo enter on just one tone, and you know what? I'm going to have this tone be all that the banjo plays for this whole piece. So to fit with my half note rule, it means that all of my note values are going to be the length of 2 quarter notes. So for the sake of writing with proper notation etiquette, I'm going to have a tie here. In fact, just to make things really kosher and easier to read, I'm going to do it like this. There are lots of rules about how you, well, not that many rules, but rules about how you write notation. Like instead of putting a half note here, I put a quarter note tied to a quarter note, and it's cool to learn about that stuff. But when we're writing really quickly, maybe we don't want to always worry about it. It's a good habit to get into, but I don't want you to. The idea here is to not stress out too much about how you start and how you go about things, but rather to just go for it and start writing very quickly. All right, so how am I doing on time? What time did I say I was going to finish again? I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. Let's keep going. I'm very good at forgetting things. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of banjo half notes here, and to save a little time, I'm going to copy and paste like so. Okay, this is looking pretty crazy. I believe this is supposed to be a quarter note and not an eighth note, so I'll change it as such as necessary. All right. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is where I'm going to end the piece right here because this is a very short piece, and it's okay if I have one quarter note in it. Alright, so I'm going to delete all this extra space. Now I'm going to listen to what I've got so far, and that'll inspire the ideas for everything else. Okay, first instinct says this should be a B right here. I don't really like this at all. Okay, now I'm going to write a line in the left hand. Do, do, do. Okay, so I'm going to go, this is going to be do, 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 do. Let's see what happens if I put a C sharp here. Now, I've got a C sharp. That's, so far, we have all natural notes. So this is the first sharp note. So I want to see how dissonant is this going to be. It's probably going to be pretty dissonant because C sharp is really close to D. And so you've got this minor second that could clash there. F, G, I'm not as worried about those, but let's take a listen to this measure to see how dissonant that is. Pretty spicy. Let's hear how it sounds in context, though. I like it. It's scary. Okay, so now we're going to go... I'm going to hold this over for a whole 6 beats. Now, this wouldn't normally be notated like this. This would just be a whole note, but I'm in a hurry. All right. Dun. Okay. So we have E, G, and there's a D and a D. That's going to be cool. I want to put in a B as well. You might wonder why I'm making certain decisions. Sometimes there's no really great reason. It's just kind of a gut thing. All right, so the violin, I want to just be going. Yeah, I want to start on D, D, and then I'm going to do the open D string. So a violin goes G, D, A, E. Those are the notes on a violin. So I'm going to go down to the open D string from this super high note. Normally, you might not want to jump from a super high violin note to a super low violin note, but since there's an open string there, I imagine it won't be too hard, especially because this line isn't very fast. So let's see what happens now. I'm going to put an A in the violin here and go to the open A string, and then G to the open G string. Okay. That sounds cool. All right, so maybe, let's see, I think I have like 2 more minutes. I'll say 2 more minutes. I don't remember when I started, but that's not important. I'll save later. Okay, so we've got this, and now we're going to want maybe to, let's do an experiment. Well, first I want to listen one more time. Maybe I'll have the violin double this here, or no, I'm going to create a 4-part chord. A, D, okay, I'm going to put in an F and a C, and that's going to end up being like a D minor 7, and then we're going to go to F sharp, C sharp. Now, I'm just doing things fast and fun. This is about fast and fun here. Can't give you a great reason why I did that. All right. And that's pretty terrible, but I'm almost out of time. No. We'll do, oh, I see why, because there's an F here and an F sharp here, and they're in a similar range. I'm almost out of time. I'm pretty much out of time, so I'm going to make these F sharp for these two, and then we're going to cut it off at that point. So that's what we got. All right, let's listen back. Okay, well, that's what we have. I don't really like this last measure here, but what I'll do is I'll put this away and I'll start working on this again later today or some other point. Maybe I'll learn these parts on guitar and make it into a solo guitar thing, or who knows. But the reason I do this is because it's so easy to say, oh, I want to compose, and then start writing and just freeze up and be like, what do I do? What do I do? And sometimes when you just throw yourself into it without heavy preparation, without heavy thought, it kind of opens the door. So now I have a vibe to work with. I don't have to stick with half notes the whole time. I could add quarter notes and eighth notes later. But now I've got a beginning, I've got a feeling, and you know what? Honestly, I actually like what ended up to this point at least. I like what's going on. So this, I would say, was a successful 10-minute fun time piece. And I suggest taking a similar approach with writing sometimes. I mean, sometimes you're going to have an idea going into it. You're going to have a feeling you want to convey. You're going to have a lot of meaning. But other times, you're just going to you're going to know you want to write, but you don't know what to write about. So you should just start writing. I hope this was helpful to you, and let's do it again.